spirituality, but mostly like about development, spirituality among students. Mine may be a little bit more as to actually dealing with the situation as it happens, and why is it happening? What are the diagnoses and the symptoms? Now, the first impression, people think that if you are attending an Islamic school, then you should be the best in the community, right? You should be the best student, and you should be on the best behavior. That's what people expect, aspire to, and in fact would love that to be the case, but in the 21st century, we're dealing with a lot of capitalism and materialism, and now we're talking about spirituality, right? So, before we do anything, we actually like to define what spirituality is. What is spiritual? So, if you Wikipedia tell you that spirituality is the quality of being concerned with the human spirit, right? So, as Muslims, as human beings, we know that we're made from Adam alayhi salam is made from the earth, right? That's the physical matter, okay? Water and mud. That is physical. And that body is furnished with all the abilities and necessities for it to survive on earth. Now, source of life is a ruh. Okay? So the body without a ruh would not function. We know that Adam alayhi salam, when he was first created, it was just a body. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala نفخ فيه من روحه, then life came to him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blew from his spirit into that body of Adam alayhi salam. So now we have the body, which is from the earth that we're created from. And then we have a ruh, which comes from what? It's heavenly. Isn't it? It's heavenly. And it's from the Spirit of Allah. It's that mystery that connects us and connects everyone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said, كل مولود يولد على الفطر. Every newborn is born on the natural disposition, right? Which is what? To ask, what am I here for? Who founded me here? Where am I going? This is a connection, right? And human being would ask this question always. Now, so you're spiritual when your priority is geared more towards the spirit than the body. Okay? Now, what do you find the body is trying to do? The body is trying to pull you down to the earth, which is made, what is it made from? And a ruh is trying to lift you up, not to die to its creator, but to connect you with the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is exactly what spirituality is. Okay? Spirituality is to be able to connect with the source, with the founder, and understand first why you're here, and appreciate why you're here, and be cautious about where you're going. Right? This is the way it is for us. Now, if you look at spirituality, okay, the true meaning of it, it's more of a broader concept. Okay? Where a lot of people agree on. What we call the universal act of kindness. That's something spiritual. Doesn't have to be godly, but people believe that's a principle. That's a pillar to be kind, right? To be accepting, to be peaceful, to be right, sociable, all these kind of things require from the person not to think so much and dwell upon themselves, but rather be concerned with their spirit and the people around them and the community at large. Right? So you'll find that people come in three one is somebody who's solely concerned about their well-being. What do we call that person? Selfish, right? The culture where we live, it all circulates about what? The I, the me, the ego. I did it, I earned it. I'm sad, I'm miserable, I'm happy, right? All these feelings, all these emotions that are happening because the person only focuses on themselves. And when they to teach from a textbook is to teach through action. You see you do it, they will do it. And you just facilitate, that's all you do. Now, in Islam, spirituality means what? Doing everything as you're supposed to do. What are the three conditions for any action or a good deed to be accepted as a Muslim? First thing, Islam, right? So, in order for it to be accepted, you must what? You must be a Muslim. You must believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees the good deed and He rewards it. And the second thing is what? Ikhlas. Ikhlas means what? That is sincere and only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that intention sometimes what? Fluctuates. And by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people can steer their intention on the right track. Okay? When they still have a chance. And the third, al-ittiba'. It must be according to the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he did it. We don't bring anything extra, right? But we can bring short of that of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but nothing extra, because other than that will be what? Innovation. Okay? So when we say spirituality, in Islam, what do you find normally the age of spirituality growing? You go find like a 14-year-old spiritual, a 12-year-old spiritual, 10-year-old spiritual, right? But this age and this group here, they all believe in what? They believe in friendship. Yes? They believe in kindness. Okay? They believe in respect. And these common goals bring them together, right? So, believe me, these will be rare coins. Time progressing, right? Where people becoming, like you see the hate mongers and people calling other people out, other race out, and this and that, right? We deal with it as parents, we deal with it as teachers and as educators. Imagine the students, the amount of pressure that they have to explain themselves all the time, that they're Muslims and why they are Muslims. Right? That's another mental anguish right there, that these kids, these students, trying to fit in, trying to tell their peers that they fit in, they belong here, right? They're part of this culture, and we are the parents and the students that worry and concerned for them. Okay? And subhanAllah, many of them have to live that experience, and they have to learn from that experience. But you, out of love and compassion, what do you want to do? You don't want them to get into that experience. You at least want to provide for them, the safe, necessary steps for them to be able to do that. Now, we have this stigma with, for somebody to be spiritual, to be mutsawwif, Sufi, right? Darwish. Or people, they all, they just glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's what a spiritual is. No, spiritual is somebody that did not allow the matter, the material aspects of this world, right, to dominate the soul. The soul is still pure, right? Now we say the soul is a mystery, but in fact, that what inhibits and feels the reward and punishment is a nafs, which is different from a ruh. Okay? When a ruh never dies, it's even been created before the body is what? Is created, and then it's paired with it upon earth. Right? When a ruh comes in, 120 days, right? From the beginning of pregnancy. That's when it comes. Okay? And it's paid with it. And when the person dies, what happens to it? It goes back to its creator in a suspense mode. Right? Waiting for the day of resurrection. And then again, it will be paired with the body that was designed for it. So, pretty much, we are right now preparing that soul and dictating where that soul is going to be at the end of time. Is it a soul that's going to be living the joy and the entertainment in the everlasting life? Ameen ya Rabb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah makes us all amongst them. Right? And the most important thing, and I say that as to also to most of my colleagues and teachers, we don't really know what our end is going to be like. And most of us think that, okay, we're teachers and we'll pray and we'll recite Quran and we have ijazah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with the knowledge. But also, a person should never ever be tempted because you don't know what the end is going to be like. And therefore, the Prophet ﷺ always used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make his last days are his best days. Okay? So, we really need to give our students that hope that life still has good to offer. Right? And not all the kids that out there are bad. Okay? And not the whole world out there is really bad. And no, we have to give them the hope that things will get better. You dictate what your life is going to be like. No one else will dictate it for you. Right? Because we say the peer pressure is humongous. And I'm talking about secondary because that's where I teach. Okay? And believe it or not, kids are good by nature. And every one of us is spiritual in a way or another. But some of us allowed, dunya matters to be the priority. Right? So when we look at it, we think our spiritual when we give an hour or 2 or 3 hours of the day back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And there are people that would think they will camp and spend, here's the 10 days of the Hijrah, for example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given us like a grand prize. Right? Here, I'm reminding you from Allah. Okay? If you didn't remember, you're probably right now off tracks after Ramadan. Here's a reminder. You have the Hijrah to remember. Remember the sacrifices. The sacrifice of Ibrahim, of Ismail, of Hajar, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? So, spirituality is to make our students to believe that, fasting Monday and Thursday is beneficial. It is rewarding. It is good. Because first of all, you have control over your nafs. Right? Sister Elsayed, as my direct supervisor, but also, the students, you may not like it, but I know it's good for you. They don't know that yet, right? But they just set themselves judges as what suits them and that what does not. Okay? So spirituality in Islam is like what? When you hit the age of 40, right? You try to make sense of why you're here. Because subhanAllah, as also you have to give those kids a break. You have to give them a break because their priorities are not yours. And your priorities are not theirs. And when you were their age, your priorities were not what it is today. Right? So they're just growing. Right? And our job is to, facilitate and help them, grow the right way. Because nowadays, subhanAllah, they made those electronic gadgets and, and games and stuff very addictive, that they can be on it for 8 hours straight, 10 hours straight. It's like a shock. Right? And I've seen some, my kids, even they don't want to leave the game or leave the phone because they're waiting their turn or they're waiting for somebody else to finish or to lose or to win. It's just like, it's kind of like that. So, in class, what do? It's classroom management. Right? And then they go home, they want to break all the rules. And they may be able to break all the rules because most of the time the parents want to do their thing as well. So they come to school next day and they rebel. They want to bring the more relaxed mode that they are used to at home to school. And then, oops, they get hit again with what reminds them of what they need to do. So I'm afraid that sometimes our students, as they get older, they lead a double life. There's one that is Islamic, and there's one that goes with the flow, that goes with everything else. Is that right? Yeah, we suffer from that, and that's problematic. But spirituality goes to remind people to, be happy, be grateful. Alhamdulillah, it could have been worse, right? Appreciating the little things, okay? Thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being here. Thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the food that we say. Reminding kids all the time to make that dua before they eat, right? They learn it in school. But if they're not reminded at home, what happens? They forget it, and most of the time they're just, hungry. But subhanAllah, we need to remind them that these words, these terms that they use in itself is positive, and it has a positive impact on the child. Most of the time, what do you find about spiritual students that, you find them young, but they always have the Quran with them, and they're sitting and they want to read the Quran, or they'll be fasting Mondays and Thursdays, or, some of these good kids, you know them and you see them moving around, and you wonder, how can they get so spiritual at a young age like that? There are some gifts. There are some gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there are some du'at, from mothers that was accepted, that make students in the world today behave like that, right? And feel that they are precious. They're not an outcast. They feel special and precious because they act that way, they dress that way, they believe that way.
Can I ask a question, or you want to do it later after the...
Of course, we have. You can ask a question.
The question, since you mentioned about, thank you, brother, for the enlightenment. When we have these students who's playing games with smartphones, matter of fact, the parents encourage it.
Yes.
Because from home, the school is about 20 minutes. Now, as soon as his mom dropped him at school, his mind is what?
Speaking of it.
Still that game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Since, today with this new technology, how to teach them to revive the students,
okay,
to be ready to receive the knowledge, or to be part of the classroom. How do you teach?
I personally, for all my classes, we have to, as soon as there's like a procedure when I go in, right? There is a dua that we recite together. It's just set the tone and the mode, right, for what we're about to do. Because remember, Islamic studies and Arabic and Quran, they are fused in with other subjects. So sometimes, coming from math and who's tough and hard, having a bad time, comes in, Al-Fatiha and the dua to get started, to bring the barakah in. Sometimes that makes things spiritual. But if you're talking about the phones, I know that there is this withdrawal symptom, right? You just dropped off, by the bus, or you just dropped off to school, and now you have to turn your phones in, you have to keep your phones on turned off, right? And in your pocket or on your bag. I understand that happens, and I tell you what, I even sometimes students, I know that they ask to go to the bathroom, and it is possible, very possible, that they may check their phone, right? And I'm not gonna tell them, leave your phone or this and that. Funny thing, I tell you honestly, I used to have this stigma about the phones and the games, and I used to hate why kids wasting their time on this kind of thing, right? Until I sat with my 6-year-old, and he was about to teach me how to play Fortnite. And as I sat to him, next to him, and I gave him the 100% attention, as if like I'm seeing my child for the first time. How, he was completely with me 100%. And I've never seen, because I'm with him now, I'm there, he's going to teach me something, right? So we clicked, and I think it was probably the first time I felt like that we had that click, because now there's no inhibitions. He felt like I'm doing this, And I'm not going to discipline him as to why he's wasting. And I find it interesting sometimes how these kids, are smart and everything, but it's all about management, right? And we have to use that, okay, you're allowed to play if you do your part, if you finish your homework, if you get ahead in this, if you finish this Amma, right? There's always have to be setting those, because if you leave it, then the child will just want to hang on to the phone and wouldn't want to do anything and be nagging, right? And refusing to do that kind of stuff. Some of the students didn't know that they are not spiritual. You would tell that they don't belong to school. They don't want to be at the school, but their parents force them to be at Islamic school, right? We say you should never exclude anybody. We had such great turnaround of students that they don't want to be attending Islamic school, right? And they thought that I want to be free. I want to get paid, and I want to be able to do, this and that. But subhanAllah, staying hopeful, right, and remaining spiritual, that given these kids the message of hope, right? Because what's the opposite? Why do we have a high level of depression amongst teens, among students, especially girls, right? Look what they have to compete with. First of all, have to wear an Islamic attire, right? And then they have to cover, okay? And then they have to explain themselves to the world, right? All these things on their mind, and they still need to please their parents, please their teacher, please the world, right? But on the inside, they are not even happy with who they are. What do you have? And you can teach them the whole curriculum about Islam, right? But the most important thing that you want to teach them, that they are worth something. That they are here for a reason. And we say meaning of life. Once you understand, right, why you're here, or try to actually inquire about why you're here, right? And you count, you're not a waste, right, of place and space. You are here for a reason. Allah created you for a reason. You have a legacy, right, to leave behind you. You dictate what your life is going to be. Nobody else does. So, people competing, buying jewelry, buying clothing, one more thing as well. So they come to school next day and they rebel. They want to bring the more relaxed mode that they are used to at home to school. And then, they get hit again with reminded of what they need to do. So I'm afraid that sometimes our students, as they get older, they lead a double life. There's one that is Islamic, and there's one that goes with the flow, that goes with everything else. Is that right? Yeah. We suffer from that, and that's problematic. But spirituality always to remind people to, be happy, be grateful. Alhamdulillah, it could have been worse, right? Appreciating the little things. Okay? Thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being here. Thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the food that we say. Reminding kids all the time to make that dua before they eat. Right? They learn in school. But if they're not reminded at home, what happens? They forget it. And most of the time they're just, hungry. But subhanAllah, we need to remind. You know what? It's not a huge loss, because everything originated with who? With Allah, and goes back to Allah. So it goes back to Tawheed. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. If the kid knows that he belongs to Allah, and we're always going to go back to Allah, and that's why we say it is very important. Sometimes, subhanAllah, at our school, we used to take our high school or secondary to the cemetery, to a burial, so they can see with their own eyes how the washing, the ghusl takes place, how the burial takes place, right? And understand and appreciate that they're youth today, but one day they're going to get old. They're alive today, and one day they shall die. So they really need to understand the meaning of life. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this. Okay? Spirituality relieves anxiety. People who don't believe, what do? Fortune tellers? Psychic? They call people constantly what the future holds for them. They read in their horoscope Why? They worry about what tomorrow is going to hold them. They're going to last in this job or not. This is all anxiety because they have nothing to fall back on. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-mutawakkil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that al-razzaq is the provider. So this is before we teach our kids any of that. We need to teach our students that everything depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in the world we live today, the world of material, what do people do? Worship the dollar. Isn't that right? The money will buy you your happiness. The money will get you whatever you want. You don't even have to finish school. You can just do programs, design some games on YouTube. You can be a YouTuber. What about this? I tell myself, you know what? I'll let you play, but not watch YouTubers. Because YouTubers, whatever they say in their videos, is aimed to change the way your child think, the way your child talk, right? And all these words and all these vocabularies they bring into the language that we're not accustomed to, and all these fun dances they bring in. I started to make sense of the spaghetti. There's some of the sons. I'm like, oh, that's fun. I used to give the sons a hard time when I see them, like dancing like on Fortnite. Now I understand that comes from the game, But at any rate, so a good, solution for our students. So we tell our students, you know what? You didn't try to believe in Allah. You didn't try to complain to Allah. You go into the whole class complaining about what happened to you last night, and you did not complain to the one who made you. Right? Kids are more materialistic today than they are spiritual. In order for us to make them more spiritual, we need to actually explain the mechanism and the difference between the body and the soul. And if the mind, subhanAllah, if the soul is in good shape, if the nafs is in good shape, the mind will create the balance. How do you strike a balance in your life? Right? There are people that were way too spiritual. What ended up happening? They thought that the only people exist and that the only right people on this earth, and they want to annihilate the other people. Or people think that this world or this land is entitled to them and not entitled to other people. So this is what our actually kids are dealing with. That bullies win. Justice is not served. That we tell them, you know what? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He's the just. And this world that we live in is not the world of what? Of the akhirah. This is the world of the struggle. But we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our kids are the kind of kids that have that emotional stability, right? Believe it or not, many of them will be walking around, they want to go home after the third period and fourth period. They hate to be at school, right? But that's not the truth. In fact, they love being at school, but they just hate, right? What the world is trying to dictate to them. You're not pretty enough. You're not handsome enough. Your pants are not tight enough, right? Your teeth are not white enough. They only focusing on the negative stuff. And the world that we live in today, the capitalist society, this is what they want our kids to be. Commodity. They're just buying stuff. Merchant. Not making stuff, but actually what? Consumers. Buying stuff and competing to buy stuff. Okay? But it's something that we practice at school, we practice at home with our kids all the time. Jazakumullahu khairan, barakallahu feekum, alhamdulillah. All this kind of like positive energy, positive verbatim. Bring our kids back to the roots of, what? Yeah. I don't only have to be reminded by, our deen or our Islam at the Islamic school when it's adhan and time for dhuhr. Or it's only time for Islamic school. It should be all day long, right? That we are teaching our students to be good characters, to be good, universal human beings, if not the best Muslims they can ever be. Yes.
What age do you produce this and parents of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What age?
Oh, early on. Early on. Remember that subhanAllah, they even said that some of the babies can react to the music, right? Or whatever sounds that they can hear while they're in the belly of the mother. So they react to that. So imagine, right? What would they react to as what they're listening to, as what the language is like in the home, the language in the school. How do actually teachers greet one another? How do teachers talk about each other? How do teachers treat kids, and being fair as much as they can? The kids look at all these things, and you know what? Most of the students think that you have privilege and they don't. They think that they are prisoners, right? And you're free to do whatever they want. All this kind of stuff, it is okay for them to think that way. It just comes with age. They just have to find out the truth about that, right? And instead of coming into confrontation with the students, is to contain them, is to understand where they're coming from. They're confused, right? And explain to them. And we really don't want also at the same time overburden them. Because most of the time we tell them, what? You're the hope for us. You'll be the one that carrying the torch, right? And we keep finding that the responsibility becomes bigger and bigger as time evolves. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the great hopes is, right, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. That, as colleagues and as teachers, if you're truly not doing this to better the life of the people around you, because you already have tasted that sweetness of that iman, and you want other people to have a taste of it, then it should be that, that's the spirit, right, of the teacher, of the facilitator, of the educator, that he wants the best for the students. And you really can't, dictate what the student is going to be because you don't know. And I've learned that, subhanAllah, myself the hard way, seeing Sheikh Yusuf Estes and other people, right, come around and become the way they are when other people wrote them out and said this, was the pastor, or this was that, and this and that, right? A person should always be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what he has, and always aim to be better and to serve, inshallah. So, that's why I leave you with, spirituality is a positive tool that is available for us to remind the kids that the world is good, is fine, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for a purpose, right? We can make the world better around us, and we don't live in a bubble or in isolation from the culture and the world we live in, as we live in the United States of America. And most of the time, stories, current life situations, something really to do. I know we deal a lot with the companions and the Sahaba and this and that, but there are some beautiful series, spiritual series, like for Sheikh Omar Sulaiman on inspiration, right? You can use those for your students in class and teach them, about the character. And I leave you with this. This is what I tell, some of my high school students, that the Prophet ﷺ told us in Hadith that you guarantee me 6, I'll guarantee you, right? And we divide them into 2 parts. The first 3 is bara'a from nifaq, is a salvation from hypocrisy, that you'll never be a hypocrite. إِذَا حَدَثَ لَمْ يَكْذِبْ. When he talks, he does not lie. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ لَمْ يُخْلِفْ. And when he promises, he does not back out on his promise. وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ لَمْ يَخُنْ. And when he was trusted, he did not mess up that trust. Okay? Those are 3. And we know there's, these are what? Salvation from hypocrisy. And then the third, that mainly, when we talk about teens, okay, and we'll talk about this a lot, he said what? غَضُّ أَبْصَارَكُمْ. Starts with what? With the eye. Okay? وَاحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَكُمْ. And guard your chastity and your privates. وَكُفُّوا أَيْدِيكُمْ. And do not harm others. What kind of character would that be like? Spiritual, right? A good, productive, positive Muslim. Okay? That first, he doesn't lie. He does not back out on promises, right? He's a person that can be trusted. And because he can be trusted, he understands the rights of other people and he does not invade their privacy, right? Okay? He guards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his limits in doing all that. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that to benefit us from what we learn, and to forgive us for any of our shortcomings, and to make their great reward is the reward that rests with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, in the hereafter. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله. Yes, you have a question?
Just not a question. Just a reminder, make sure you do the surveys.
Yes.
I just had a question about like the whole thing about spirituality and anxiety. Like sometimes students feel like if they make a mistake, if they make a lot of mistakes at home, that like this guilt overcomes them, makes them feel hopeless, and it's like they can't live. It's like almost like their self-esteem is just totally goes. Like they think that they can't be good. They're not good.
I understand. And subhanAllah, I used to recite the ayat, قل يا أيها الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. All those who went excessively outside the folds and the barriers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Do not ever give up on the mercy and the hopes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again we say that because that weak, right, foundation of believing that everything is in the hands of God, and what happened to you is because it was known that in fact, if you were to know your future, you would be happy with what you have today. You know what I'm saying? So subhanAllah, we need to educate our teachers that the reward is not with people, the reward is always with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And always look, right, within, and do not try to live your life to impress other people. If people really look within, they find jewels, and they find great things that they can't count. But subhanAllah, also some of the steps of shaitan, that he wants to come between the creator of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, and his mercy, by saying what? You know what? No. It's not for you. It's not making sense. I know it's Allah, but it's still not making sense. Why me? Right? There's a lot of people that I sit with, and and this is something that it happens a lot amongst teens, that they like to experience all the good stuff and not to go through any bad stuff. And subhanAllah. But again, if people believe that everything is in the hands of Allah and it goes back to Allah, Allah is the one that replaces, right? It could have been worse. Okay? I'm lucky that we're here today. I'm lucky that I have an opportunity tomorrow. Always giving our students the hope that things will get better. Okay? So working on that spiritual part, that is still, we say, pure. Okay? And it's apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I know there's questions, but the other session needs to come in, so it would be good if you guys want to take it to the back.
Yeah, I just want to
Sure.
But we talked about like in my class, when we talked about the ruh and the nafs.
Yes.
We say that there's a lot of famous people saying because there's one of the structural is missing. They have everything they need for their life.
Suicidal, yes.
Yeah, but they don't have the structural part. That's why they're missing that, and that's why they kill themselves
Because they don't see an end, or they don't see a return,
yes.
right? But for the believers, they believe in the day of resurrection, and there's a better life to